Let's begin with news breaking this evening as we take a look at the Gordie Howe International Bridge in Windsor between Ontario and Michigan. This is the latest target of a trade threat by Donald Trump. In a social media post just a short while ago, Trump wrote in part, Canada's building a massive bridge between Ontario and Michigan. They own both the Canada and the United States side and, of course, built it with virtually no U.S. content. I will not allow this bridge to open until the United States is fully compensated for everything we've given them. We will start negotiations immediately. So what does all this mean? What impact is it going to have? Well, for more on this breaking story, let's bring in Pratyush Dayal, who is in Windsor. You've covered the development of this bridge quite a bit. It has been a huge story for Windsor and Detroit. Tell us about the significance of this bridge and how people there feel about it.
Ian, anyone you ask in Windsor right now would tell you how eagerly all of us have been waiting for the opening of the Gordie Howe Bridge. And thereby there is some frustration I'm finding in the social media groups. People are very genuinely hurt by Donald Trump's latest comments, especially the West Windsor community. Now, that is the community where this bridge was going to open and practically be the gateway to Canada. And a lot of hopes for economic revitalization for that community have been now, in the air. There are businesses who are moving in there, trails being set up, all of this in hopes that once the bridge opens up, more American visitors will be coming in, more tourism dollar flowing into the community. Now, all of that is in the air. And people are expressing on social media posts that it's $6.4 billion which Canada has spent on this bridge. And why should, Trump have any share of this? We have reached out to folks in DC and locally here for reaction, but we're still waiting for more.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons that people feel so blindsided by this tonight, and you'll know this better than me, there's been a lot of negotiation and a lot of agreement between Canada and the United States, between Ontario and Michigan, between Windsor and Detroit to build this bridge, right? I mean, this is not something that Canada unilaterally went ahead with, but there was just a lot of agreement on both sides of the border. Tell us a little bit about that.
Right, there has been a lot of back and forth around this bridge, and the timelines also they have been impacted. For the longest time, we had the Ambassador Bridge here, which as is one of the busiest border crossings in North America. Usually, $320 million worth of goods flows in between the two cities on a daily basis through Ambassador Bridge, and the hopes were that Gordie Howe would come into the picture and that ease would come through our local traffic. We also had Mayor Drew Dilkens on our programming earlier today talking about it and saying this is just insane what Trump has done.
Bridge. This has been a bridge and a conversation that really, it goes back 25 years. There have been successive U.S. presidents. There have been successive prime ministers that have been involved in the negotiations to get this bridge constructed. There have been presidential permits issued. And let's not forget, Canada paid for the construction of the bridge. The U.S. didn't want to pay. Canada said, we think it's important. We're going to pay for it. We're going to fund it to help facilitate international trade. And so the president, on one hand, is criticizing a decision made by the government of Ontario to remove U.S. alcohol off the shelves. But at the same hand, on the other hand, he's saying, I don't want to open a facility that's actually going to facilitate more trade between the two nations. It's just insane.
And Ian Dilkens says that this is just another, speed bump in the entire progress we have been seeing here so far, but surely it has left the Windsor community in much shock and uncertainty.
All the things we expected to be talking about tonight, this is not one of them. That social media post came as a surprise to pretty well everybody. Pratyush Dayal in Windsor, Ontario, thank you very much.